and welcome to the Autocar show. Now the monsoon always creates musty in us, so we decided to do just that today. Have a lot of fun. And we're giving one lucky viewer of ours a chance to have that fun with us. Now so many of you write into us telling us that you want to be an auto journo, you want to come with us on a shoot. Can I just be an intern? I'll carry your bags. Well, we wanted a car and Varun had it, so we gave him the opportunity to come along and be an auto journo for a day. Now Varun, what is it that you do besides being car crazy?
I am a medical student in Bombay.
Okay, so medicine and cars, that's a big difference between those two. What made you want to come out with us on a shoot today?
I am crazy about cars, and when I got to hear that I am going to shoot something with the cars, so that's like a dream come true.
Oh, so great. So Varun is living this dream that a lot of you have, and let's see if he's still as enamored by the end of the day as to what work we do. So what's the story today? Well, we're going to give Varun a chance to test drive the cars with us. At the end of the day, we'll see if his opinion matches ours. Now, when this vibe came to our office, there was a lot of discussion on should we do a hatchback comparo, should we do a sub 4 meter comparo. But the vibe claimed that it was stretching itself across both territories. So we decided, why not compare it to both? We have the king of the hatchback segment, the Swift, and we have the best-selling sub 4 meter, the Swift Dzire. We're putting the vibe against them, and let's see which one comes out a winner. Now, whilst we were going to do our own testing, we told Varun to go off and do his own tests on all the three cars and see whether his opinion was similar to ours. What really makes the vibe straddle the barriers as a hatch and as a compact saloon is the boot design. It has a hatch-like tailgate, but a boot that opens from under the glass area like a saloon. It's really the boot that's unique in this comparo, so let's begin right there. The Vibe's rear will definitely draw attention with its sharply raked windscreen and pillar-mounted vertical lamps. The LEDs give it a sporty appeal, but go past the old design and pop open the stubby boot lid and a narrow loading area greets you. Now the Vibe's boot is a really cavernous 330 litres. It's got a lot of space, but the problem with it really is this narrow loading area. So if you want to put big suitcases in, it's going to be a bit of a juggle. Now coming to the Swift, if you carry luggage around, then the 204 litre boot is going to seem a little puny, small on space. However, you can flip down the seats and get additional space. Now the Swift Dzire may be beaten by the Vibe on sheer volume, but if you look at the loading area, it's got loads of space to put your luggage in, and I think this is the most practical one. On the inside, the Vibe has the strengths of the saloon that is derived from. It has a spacious cabin, and that means sufficient room for all. The rear bench is really wide and the seats comfortable, making 3 people an easy fit in this rear seat. Apart from class-leading space, the Vibe's cabin is a little lackluster. In terms of ergonomics or interior quality and features, it just doesn't stand to compare with the Swift siblings. Now, for example, the steering, there's no height adjust, so taller drivers definitely going to have a problem. Look how close my legs are to the steering. And for shorter ones, there's no seat height adjust, so if they want to sit up high, they just can't do that. Also, the music system and AC controls are so low that you have to move your eyes away from the road a lot to adjust them, which is not great while you're driving. And of course, there's the plastic quality, which like before isn't too great. It's sort of hard and looks too shiny and not so great. There's panel gaps. So the interior of the Vibe really leaves a lot to be desired, and of course it just doesn't give you the feel-good factor that the other two do. The Swifts on the other hand come with steering adjust, and right from the crisply designed dials, the soft and comfortable seats to the posh looking central console, the cabin has a much richer and much more special feel. Neither of the two can claim to have as much space as the Vibe, but the big difference between the two siblings is the all black on the Swift and the lighter dual tone beige on the Dzire that works well to open it out a bit. Now, on the go, the Vibe spec sheet doesn't look exciting with a 64 bhp 1.5 DCI. But on the road, it surprises. The Vibe is just so drivable. I love the way it picks up from low RPMs in higher gears. You don't really have to shift down. Once you slow down, put your foot down, just finds the power and gets a move on. It picks up from as low as about 1200 RPM and then it pulls all the way to the red line, but power tends to taper off and you're always happier short shifting. The engine is definitely more comfortable short shifting, but the beauty is where the Swift siblings have to drop down a gear or two to cope with traffic, the Vibe just cuts through it without you having to use your left hand or foot at all. Get into the Swift and you realize how much this engine loves to be revved. You can pull cleanly all the way to the 5000 RPM mark. But it's that punchy mid-range that actually makes this engine so enjoyable to drive. The Dzire is similar and even the gear shifts feel slicker as you slot them into their places. They're easy and a joy to use, which is good considering you use them a lot more. Now in both the Swift and the Dzire, power comes in at about 1800 RPM, below which they feel sluggish. So in city traffic, they're not as great as the Vibe. But once you get past that mark, you ride a really nice wave of torque. So out on an open stretch of road, they're much nicer to drive. Out on the highway or in free-flowing traffic, these two will definitely please more. But in stop-go traffic, they're more cumbersome than the Vibe. Now, talking about traffic and our city roads, it gave us ample opportunity to test the ride quality of the trio. Now, after what the monsoon has done to our roads, it's the perfect time to test the ride quality of any car. And I have to say that the Vibe has inherited all the qualities of the Verito as far as ride is concerned. It just does away with the bumps and potholes in such a calm and composed manner, and it makes the backseat passenger really comfortable. The Swifts, on the other hand, though both with decent ride quality on their own, really lose out when pitted against the Vibe. If we were to compare the two siblings against one another, it's the Dzire that has the slightly more pliant ride. The firmer setup of the Swift siblings really helps them around the corners. They tackle them in a far more sorted and planted manner, with the Swift hatchback actually being the better of the two. The Vibe grips well, and though not very sharp, the steering does give you a sense of confidence. But the Swifts definitely have the advantage around the corners. All three cars have light steerings and make them easy in traffic, but the Vibe gets a little heavier at parking speeds, making it more laborious. Now, when we talk about compact and sub 4 meter, it's obviously a segment where the daily dip into the wallet is of concern. So let's take a look at how fuel efficient they are. The Vibe, which doesn't require too much gear change, is quite efficient, but the siblings that returned identical figures are admirable by any standard. Well, we made up our minds as to which car really is a winner here, but let's see what Varun thinks.
I would go for the Dzire. Firstly, it has a big boot. Secondly, it has the qualities of driving like the Swift drives. And the interiors. Interiors are, as compared to the Verito, it's a notch up. The Verito is all in all a very good car, but somewhere it lacks the charm of sitting inside the car. It's spacious, but the interiors are not exactly holding up. It's not convincing. The Swift is definitely a good pick. If you don't want a boot with you, then Swift should be the choice.
Well, there's no doubt that Mahindra have created a good product from the base of the Verito, and in fact this funky styling, well, it's going to appeal to some and not to the others, so that's going to have a split opinion. But apart from that, as a product, it's quite solid, and in fact it puts up a good fight to the Maruti siblings. It's better on quite a few parameters. Let's talk about those: space, ride quality, that sheer cruising, and of course that ease of driving in traffic. But despite being better on those parameters, it really can't displace the dynamic duo. And that's because at a starting price of about 6.55 lakh with minimal trim, basic interiors and not so great quality. It just can't match up to those two. Well, that leaves us with the Maruti siblings. Now they're both going to appeal to different kind of consumers for sure. The Maruti Swift to the single and younger user, and of course the Dzire to the more practical family man. But if we were to pick one winner for its bigger boot, more comfortable rear bench and better and airier interior, it would be the Dzire.